Hello everyone, today we'll continue learning Python, and today I'll explain about listen in background function in speech recognition module in Python. So let's start. First of all, I explained about speech recognition module, and if you don't know anything about it, this video is not for you. You can see a hint in the right upper corner, and in that video I explained everything about speech recognition in details. But one comment suggested me to explain about listen in background function. Maybe I had no explanation, actually I forgot because that video was a month or two ago. And today I'll just explain listen in background function and how it actually works. So let's start. First of all, you can see that code and let me explain it to you. I will import time module for time, and also I have my video about time module. I will import speech recognition module as SR, so it's just a rename for, I will not write speech recognition module, I'll write just SR, as you can see here, and so on. I will return to callback later. Recognizer, it's our object which will recognize our audio. So for example, I will say hello and it will return hello string in Python. Then microphone, it's the microphone we are listening to. Actually, we can listen to not just a microphone, but for example, audio files, we can read them, but again, just go to the previous video about speech recognition module. And then with mic as source, recognizer adjust for ambient noise from source. What does that mean? That command adjusting, so removing every noise from our microphone, if we have some. For example, if you are in a noisy place, in an airport, for example, you can use that function in your program, so your user will not experience any problems with recognition. You just adjust for ambient noise, and for 1 second you should not talk. That's it. Okay, then we go to listen background function, and it has two variables in it. First of all, our microphone, and again, microphone is the thing we listen to. So I will say something to my microphone, and that will work. And then callback. Callback, it's a function. And microphone, of course, should be sr.microphone or audio file, but again, go to the previous video to understand how you can use audio files, not just microphone. Okay, microphone, sr microphone, I think you understand. And then we have callback. Callback, it's a function, and again, let's go right here, but be sure that you don't call that function, because if you put parentheses, you call that function for the result. So for example, function sum will return the result of x and y. But if you just print the name of the function, you use it as a link. So your program, in our case listen background, will use that function, or will go to that function, and when it needs it, it will use it. Okay, just a link. And let's go to callback function. It has two parameters, first of all recognizer and then audio. So recognizer, again, it's just simple recognizer, which is used to recognize our audio. And then we have audio, which was listened while we talked to our microphone. That's it. So recognizer.recognize Google uses Google API to recognize our audio. And I'll print it, everything works fine. Again, callback is just a function which will be called when we need to recognize our audio. And that's it. Now let's talk about how listen background works. So listen background is a function that spawns new thread. So threads allow your program to run. So your program and listen background thread run along with each other, and that's a plus. So I have a video about threads basics, and it's a simple video, but if you don't want to watch it, I'll just copy my code and then import threading. So let's go with define I'll just define simple function while true, for example print 1, and then define b while true, print 2. So I have two functions which just simply print 1 and print 2. But if I run my function a and then I run my function b, so let's run that. As you can see, we have only one in our output, because while true is a blocking loop. So we'll never go out of that loop while we just close our program or something happens, but we don't have break or so we don't exit our loop. That's it. And in that case, to run both threads along with each other, again, we can use threading module. Because of that, I imported it. So threading.thread target equals to a. Again, we just need to provide the link, and that's it. Dot start. Then threading.thread target equals b and dot start. But if I run that now, as you can see, okay, that's a mess, but actually that works. So as you can see, we have 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1, but that's a mess, and we can work with it, but that's not the topic of that video. So we work with 2 threads and then run along with each other. If I stop, you can see 1 1 1. Okay, we don't talk about that, as you can see, 2 1 2 1 1 2 1. We receive so much math because of our system, and that's not connected with threads. We can work with that to just print 1 2 1 2, but actually it's better to just do something like that, print 2, and that's it. So why do we need to talk about threads? Imagine that B is our main program. So main program, in our case, it's everything. So for example, your Kiwi UI app, your calculator, and a function, it's a function which recognizes your audio. So what actually listen background does, it just simply spawns a new thread, and your main thread, so B function, runs along with a thread. If I'll call B function after that, as you can see, we receive the same result, because we have 2 threads. Initially we have 1 thread in our program, it's called main thread, and if we spawn new thread, so in our case listen background thread, we'll split our program into 2 threads, and they work along with each other again. I think you understand. So A function, for example, can listen to our audio and recognize our audio, and B function can whatever it wants. So I don't know, use your UI, send request to the server. So it's just simple, it's just your app. And now what I want to do is how callback works. So when we receive some audio in our A, so again A, it's listen in background. I'll write it like that. When we receive some audio in listen background function, so I say, for example, hello, we just simply call back from our recognizer, so rec, and then audio. I'll write audio, and actually that's it. So again, we spawn new thread when we use listen in background. We use callback from recognizer and audio when we receive some audio, and that's how actually everything works. But now let's return to our initial code, so that code again. And yeah, listen in background on that point spawns a new thread, and we provide microphone and callback as our callback. And when we need to recognize some audio, callback is called. That's easy. But what is stop listening right here? By default, when we spawned new thread in listen in background, it returns a new function. So we can go to the, oh yeah, right here, as you can see, spawns a new thread to repeatedly record phrases. So again, to call callback when we say something, for example, returns a function object that, when called, requests background listener thread to stop. What it actually does is, okay, I will remove that for, and if I'll save, so listen background to stop listening, and then I'll call stop listening, so stop listening and parentheses, I'll stop my thread. So if you call stop listening after that function, your thread is not running anymore, and because of that you will not receive any recognition because you don't have thread, so your function is over. If you don't want your function to end, you can simply not use that function. And again, stop listening, so the name says everything. Stop listening is used to stop listening. And we have one additional parameter, which is called wait for stop. So what it actually does, if your wait for stop true, then your phrase, so for example, you say hello, my dear friend, and your phrase will not interrupt on hello, my. Your recognizer, so listen background function, will recognize the whole audio, and once you stop speaking, your thread will be stopped. But if you want to stop your thread immediately, then you can provide wait for stop as false, and no matter what, your thread will stop at that point. That's it. So again, wait for stop. If it's false, then your thread stops immediately. If it's true, then your thread, which is spawned by listen background, waits for you to stop speaking. That's it. And then your listen background thread stops. I think that's it. So if you don't want your listen background to stop, don't call that function. Actually, you can use it without, so just recognize the listen background and it will work actually forever. So what you can do if your thread stops immediately, it's just try while true and then print 10, for example, or print main thread, like that. So what will happen? Your listen background thread will be your listen background thread is started, and then while true, so that loop, gets the main thread, and because of that your program is not stopped. So the person had a problem that his program finished when he called listen ground function. That's it. If you have the same problem, you can try. It's not the best practice, but you can try to use while true and then print main thread, or just simply pass if you don't know to print anything, and that while true will capture your main thread and your program will not stop for ever. So again, let's sum up. Listen background spawns a new thread which will call callback when you have some audio to recognize. You need to provide two parameters. First of all, microphone, so your audio, and then the callback. So your function, which provides again two parameters, recognizer and audio. And that function callback is called when you have some audio to recognize. If you want to stop the thread, what you can do is use, for example, save the function return from the thread to A or to stop or stopper, and then just simply call that function, so stopper parentheses. If you want to stop your thread immediately, what you can do is wait for stop as false. If you want your phrase to finish and your thread to stop after 1 or 2 seconds, what you can do is use wait for stop as true. And actually that's it. If you experience some problems with your program, what you can do is while true, print 10, for example, or print main thread, and your listen background will work forever. Again, if you call stopper, your listen background thread stops. I think I explained everything in details, and if you have some questions, you can leave them in the comments, but actually that's it. So I think I'll write some comments, I'll work with your problems, and yeah, good luck.